I discovered my parents' will by accident after years of paying their mortgage and groceries, only to learn they left everything to my jobless brother who never lifted a finger. Now they're demanding I keep supporting them, but I've finally decided to walk away. My name is Jake, and any lingering uncertainty about my standing within my family vanished the day I uncovered the details of the will. There was no grand, orchestrated discussion where my parents disclosed the information themselves. Instead, my discovery was purely accidental, a stroke of sheer fortuity. This occurred several months prior, during a visit to their residence, the very home I had financially supported for the preceding 5 years. The mortgage installments, routine grocery acquisitions, and even property maintenance, I was the one maintaining its stability. Meanwhile, my brother, Eric, contributed absolutely nothing. And when I assert nothing, I mean precisely that. No employment, no obligations, simply idly awaiting life's bounties to be delivered on a silver platter. A comfort, it seemed my parents were all too pleased to facilitate. That particular day, I was assisting my father with some paperwork, as, typically, neither of them could be bothered to independently manage such tasks. He had requested my help in digitizing various documents for him, a collection of legal and financial records, and I didn't give it a second thought until my gaze fell upon it. A folder marked Estate Plan and Last Will and Testament, prominently positioned within the stack. Now, I generally refrain from prying, but my curiosity proved irresistible. After all, I had been the one ensuring they maintained a roof over their heads. It hardly seemed improper to ponder the arrangements for the future. So I opened it, and that's when I encountered the words that utterly disheartened me. Everything, and I truly mean everything, was bequeathed to Eric. The house, their accumulated savings, their various assets, not a single mention of me, apart from some general phrasing about loving both their sons equally. Yes, equally. That's why they meticulously arranged for their favored child to inherit everything, while the son who actually kept them afloat didn't even merit a footnote. I felt utterly foolish. Here I was, striving diligently for their welfare, ensuring their financial obligations were met punctually, guaranteeing they never lacked provisions, while they passively planned a future in which I received absolutely nothing. And Eric? He wasn't merely indolent, he was wholly entitled. He never exerted himself to assist them, never contributed a single coin. Yet, he had somehow persuaded them that he deserved it all. Perhaps it was his status as the younger son, perhaps their perpetual indulgence, or perhaps he simply understood how to manipulate them. Whatever the motive, their decision was made. I sat there, fixated on the paper, my hand trembling from a surge of both indignation and betrayal. How long had this been their intention? Had they always envisioned me as merely their gratuitous financial safety net, with no reciprocation? Did they ever genuinely appreciate my efforts? I had no notion of how long I remained seated, but eventually, my father noticed my inactivity. "Hey, Jake, what's taking so long?" he inquired, re-entering the room. I didn't even attempt to conceal the will. I held it aloft and met his gaze directly. "So, this is the situation," I articulated, my voice unnervingly composed. "Everything to Eric, after all I've done for you." My father's countenance paled momentarily, then he sighed, as if I were a petulant child displaying a fit. "Jake, it's not what you imagine, truly," I snapped, because it appears unequivocally clear to me. I've been covering your mortgage, contributing to groceries, maintaining the residence, while Eric remains idle, and you still determined he's the sole one who matters. Dad appeared uneasy, but instead of offering a genuine explanation, he merely mumbled, "It's complicated." That was it. No apology, no endeavor to justify it beyond those two unhelpful words, just a feeble excuse and an expectant look, as though he anticipated me to dismiss it and resume my role as their personal dispenser of funds. I should have departed at that very moment, but I wished to hear their joint perspective. So I summoned my mother. When she entered and observed the will in my grasp, her reaction was hardly superior. She, at least, possessed the decorum to appear remorseful, yet the words that issued from her lips ignited my fury. "Jake, darling, you don't require the inheritance," she stated gently, as if bestowing a favor upon me. "You possess a good career, you're self-sufficient. Eric, well, he encounters difficulties. We simply desire to ensure his welfare." That was the precise instant something within me fractured. They weren't oblivious. They understood precisely what they were doing, and in their estimation, it was entirely defensible. They had spent years fostering Eric's indolence, and now they intended to reward it by bestowing everything upon him, while I was discarded like a mere afterthought. I inhaled deeply, clenched my jaw, and placed the will upon the table. "Understood," I pronounced, my voice eerily tranquil. "Pleased to ascertain our standing." Then I pivoted and exited the house, disregarding their protests as I forcefully closed the door behind me. They had rendered their judgment. Now it was incumbent upon me to render mine. I did not return to their residence thereafter. I made no calls, no check-ins. For the first time in years, I allowed them to contend with their own difficulties. If they required something repaired, they could ascertain a solution. If they needed groceries, they could find their own route to the market. And most significantly, if that mortgage statement appeared, well, I was no longer responsible for its payment. The silence persisted for approximately 2 weeks. Initially, I believe they presumed I was merely sulking and would, as always, eventually return. Perhaps they anticipated me to cool down and apologize for daring to challenge their resolution. But as the days elapsed without communication from me, and, more critically, without financial aid, one could almost perceive the alteration in their demeanor. Then, one afternoon, my phone vibrated. Dad sent a text. The property taxes are due. That was all. No, hey, how have you been? No, sorry for what transpired. No, we truly appreciate all your contributions. Just a frigid, transactional message, as if I remained the automated teller they could access at their convenience. I gazed at the screen for a moment, almost amused by their predictability. They genuinely believed they could simply demand funds as if nothing had occurred, that I would continue fulfilling my role as their financial safeguard, even after they had explicitly declared my dispensability. I calmly replied, I'm sure Eric will manage it, since the house is his after all. It took precisely 5 minutes before my mother telephoned. I let it ring. Then another text arrived. Mom texted, Jake, please don't be like this. We need to converse. Oh, now they desired discourse. Now that their obligations were accumulating and reality was finally confronting them. I waited an hour before responding. There's nothing to discuss. You made your selection. Now you must endure it. I presumed that would conclude the matter for the day. I had articulated my position with utmost clarity, and not a single fiber of my being harbored guilt about it. But then Eric decided to interject. His text message arrived late that evening, and the instant I observed his name displayed on my phone, I knew it would be something objectionable. Sure enough, upon opening it, I was met with pure presumption. Eric texted, Dude, why are you being such a drama queen? It's not a big deal. Just help them out like you always do. I nearly chuckled. Not a big deal? He was genuinely behaving as though I had no justification for my indignation regarding this matter. I typed back, No, I think you've got it handled, since you're the favorite and all. Eric texted, Oh my God, are you seriously mad about the will? Grow up, man, it's just money. Oh, now it was just money. Now that it was his to inherit, it suddenly held no consequence. The hypocrisy was astounding. I shot back, Then you won't object to utilizing some of that money to cover the mortgage, correct? Silence. A few minutes later, my mother texted me again, this time engaging in a full-blown guilt trip. Mom texted, Jake, your parents, family takes care of each other. We did so much for you growing up, and now you're just abandoning us. I had to take a deep breath to prevent myself from flinging my phone across the room. Abandoning them? I had devoted years to ensuring they never struggled, all while they pampered Eric and rewarded his idleness. And now that they finally had to confront the repercussions of their own choices, I was the antagonist? I wasn't succumbing to it. Not this time. I responded, You made it evident I wasn't part of the family when you excluded me from the will. Now Eric can attend to you. I could envision my mother dramatically gasping at that. She invariably possessed a flair for assuming the victim's role, even when she was the perpetrator. A few minutes later, my father dispatched another text, and this one left me incensed. Dad texted, We're not requesting much, just enough to cover the mortgage for a few more months until we figure things out. Don't be selfish. Selfish? The word caused my blood to boil. I had been rescuing them for years, sacrificing my own funds, time, and vitality to ease their existence. I had performed every duty a commendable son ought to, and how did they recompense me? By ensuring I received nothing in return. And now, when I was finally asserting myself, I was the egocentric one? I clenched my jaw, took a deep breath, and typed back, No, I'm done. Then I deactivated my phone. They had made their selection. Now they would have to experience its repercussions. The silence persisted for a single day. I knew my parents would not relinquish their efforts so readily, but I was not anticipating what transpired next. The following morning, I awoke to a notification on my phone, a bank transfer request. I frowned, unlocking my phone to inspect it. It was from my mother. She had actually sent me a monetary request, as if I were merely an automated teller. The sum, $3,500. I stared at it in utter disbelief, half laughing at the sheer effrontery. No message, no elucidation, just a cold, brazen demand for the precise amount needed to settle their overdue mortgage. They weren't even appealing anymore. They were simply presuming I would yield. I declined it without hesitation. Not even 5 minutes later, my phone rang. It was Mom. I allowed it to ring. Then another text arrived. Mom texted, Jake, I know you saw the request. Why did you decline it? I took my time before replying. Because it's not my responsibility. Try Eric. Another call declined. Then another text. Mom texted, we're going to lose the house if you don't help us. Oh, now it was an emergency. After all those years of treating me like a walking wallet, now they were finally confronting the consequences. I typed back, perhaps you should have contemplated that before deciding I held no significance. A few seconds later, Dad chimed in, Dad, you're truly going to let your parents become homeless? Wow, that remark actually made me guffaw aloud. The manipulation was so transparent, it was almost comical. They weren't destitute. They weren't on the verge of being evicted. They simply wished to avoid dipping into their own reserves because they were so accustomed to me covering everything. I ignored them for the remainder of the day. That night, I received a text from Eric. Dude, just send them the money already. You're making this a bigger deal than it is. I clenched my jaw. This presumptuous little brat genuinely believed he could admonish me. I typed back, you mean the same money you're inheriting? Why don't you send it? His response arrived swiftly. Eric texted, you know I don't have that kind of cash right now, right? Oh, so now it pertained to affordability. He was perfectly content with me depleting my accounts, but the moment it became his turn, suddenly he possessed nothing to contribute. I replied, guess you better figure it out then, bro. You're the one they chose. No response. I retired to bed feeling strangely at peace, as though I had finally emancipated myself from years of manipulation. But the following day, matters intensified. I was at work when I received a call from my apartment's front desk. Hey, Jake. Your parents are here. I nearly dropped my phone. What? She hesitated before adding, they're claiming it's an emergency and that you won't answer their calls. Oh my God. They had appeared at my apartment simply because I ceased paying their bills? I took a deep breath, pinching the bridge of my nose. Please don't permit them entry. I'm not anticipating them. There was an awkward pause. They're being rather insistent. I clenched my jaw. I don't care. They can depart. I terminated the call and immediately received a text from Mom. We're downstairs. Open the door. No inquiry, no explanation, just another command. I did not reply. Another text from Mom. Jake, we're not leaving until you speak with us. I exhaled sharply, rising from my desk. They weren't going to retreat. Fine. I was about to impart a lesson they wouldn't soon forget. I seized my keys and stormed downstairs, my anger seething. I wasn't intimidated. I was incensed. The sheer audacity of these individuals to arrive at my abode uninvited, demanding funds as if I were their personal automated teller. Not even a preliminary phone call, not even a half-hearted apology, just a full-scale ambush. They truly believed they could simply coerce me into submission, as if I were some impressionable child. I yanked the door open, and there they stood. Mom, Dad, and, naturally, Eric, all positioned in a compact formation as though preparing a family intervention. Mom had her arms crossed, her quintessential disappointed mother expression firmly in place. Dad stood rigid, hands in his pockets, his countenance a blend of frustration and self-importance, as if he couldn't fathom I was actually compelling him to undertake this in person. And Eric, the little parasite, had the audacity to appear bored, as though this entire predicament was merely a minor inconvenience for him, as though he wasn't the genesis of this entire scenario. The moment Mom saw me, she launched into full theatrics. Jake, finally. We need to converse. I leaned against the door frame, arms crossed. No, you need to depart. She blinked, as if she physically couldn't grasp what I had just uttered. Excuse me? You understood me. My voice was calm, controlled, but resolute. You don't simply appear at my apartment demanding money. That's absurd. Dad emitted a sharp scoff. Are you truly going to let us forfeit the house over a trivial grievance? I allowed a cold laugh to escape. Trivial grievance? Oh, you mean the one where you decided I was adequate to cover your expenses, but not suitable enough to be included in your will? That grievance. Mom gasped, clutching her chest as if I had just struck her. Jake, that's not equitable. We only acted in what we believed was the family's best interest. I inclined my head. Best for the family? You mean best for Eric? Just articulate it. Silence. A prolonged, oppressive silence. Eric, who had been uncharacteristically quiet until now, finally spoke up. Look, man, I don't even want to be entangled in this. I didn't solicit anything. I turned to him, at last unleashing my frustration. No, you simply passively accept everything that's presented to you. You're 28 years old, Eric. Secure a proper occupation. His face flushed crimson. Dude, what the hell? I advanced a step closer. You comprehend me. You desire to inherit the residence? Begin acting like a homeowner. You wish to be the favored child? Commence paying their damned obligations. I'm done being your personal financial institution. Eric averted his gaze, suddenly intensely interested in the paving stones. Mom took a deep breath, recalibrating her manipulative tactics. Jake, he's your sibling. I nodded. Indeed, and I've sustained him longer than you ever have. Dad's expression darkened. You're behaving selfishly. I chuckled, a truly genuine laugh. Oh, that's rich. Emanating from you. I gestured between them. You two concluded that Eric merited everything, and I merited nothing. And now that it's time to bear the repercussions of that choice, you're attempting to manipulate me into rectifying it for you? Not going to happen. Mom's voice sharpened. We thought you'd exhibit maturity regarding this. I raised an eyebrow. Maturity? You mean quietly acquiesce to being betrayed and continue remitting your bills? Because, let's be candid, that's what you desired. Dad stepped forward, attempting to dominate me physically as he once did when I was a child. Jake, we nurtured you, nourished you, clothed you, provided you with everything. The least you can do is assist us now. I met his gaze directly. I already did for years. And you repaid me by disowning me. Mom's lip quivered. We thought you'd comprehend. I exhaled, shaking my head. Oh, I comprehend perfectly. I comprehend that I was never family to you, just a revenue stream. Silence again. A stifling, undeniable silence. I turned to Eric, who was still feigning invisibility. And you, what's your justification? You had years to mature, to stabilize your life, to contribute, but you didn't. Because you knew they'd take care of you. And when they're gone, you just expected me to intervene, huh? Eric finally erupted. What do you wish me to say, man? I didn't request this. I nodded slowly. Right, you didn't ask. You just benefited. His mouth opened, then closed. Nothing. He had no rejoinder. Mom attempted one last guilt trip. Jake, we're family. Family attends to each other. I stared at her for a prolonged moment before answering. Precisely. So, why didn't you attend to me? She froze. No words, no retort, nothing. I exhaled slowly, feeling more unburdened than I had in years. We're finished here. I turned and re-entered, closing the door behind me. Before I even reached my couch, my phone vibrated. A new text from Dad. Wow, after everything we've done for you, you're truly going to abandon us? I smirked, typing back. No, you abandoned me. I'm just finally accepting it. I hit send, then I blocked their numbers. But I had no notion that blocking them was only going to exacerbate matters. It didn't take long for things to rapidly intensify. Less than a day after I blocked them, I began encountering posts on Facebook. My parents had never been the most technologically adept, but they certainly understood how to publicly voice their grievances, especially when feeling self-righteous. At first, I considered it merely my parents being melodramatic. I mean, that was their customary behavior, exposing family discord for public consumption. But the longer I perused their social media feeds, the more I discerned this wasn't simply about my cessation of bill assistance. The posts were disguised as expressions of familial affection, but they were thinly veiled attacks aimed at me. Mom had uploaded something lamenting how she didn't raise her son to be so selfish and how true family helps each other no matter what. A few of her acquaintances commented along the lines of my supposed disappointment and being out of touch with what truly matters. Then Dad interjected with his own post. So-called family should never turn their back when you need them most. We gave everything to our children, and this is how we're repaid? My son, who should be assisting us in our golden years, has chosen to abandon us. He tagged me, appending a passive-aggressive "I hope you're happy" at the conclusion. But the genuine catalyst arrived from Eric. I should have anticipated his participation in the theatrics. He shared a post brimming with misrepresentations. Some individuals believe family is solely about finances. They fail to grasp that family signifies love and sacrifice. I would do anything for my parents, but some people just don't comprehend that. They're too consumed by themselves to realize that genuine affection involves aiding those who nurtured you. He even inserted a veiled jab at me. I wish some people could learn what it genuinely means to be family. I love my parents, and I'm appreciative of all their efforts. That was it. That was my definitive breaking point. I sat there, gazing at the screen in disbelief. How had the situation degenerated to this extent? They had completely inverted this entire scenario, portraying me as the antagonist, the self-centered son unwilling to support his supposedly sacrificing parents, the son who failed to appreciate all the affection they had bestowed upon me over the years. How could they? I had invariably been the diligent one, the contributor, the one who never complained. I had to assimilate the fact that, somehow, they had persuaded themselves of their rectitude, and now they were disseminating to everyone that I was the issue. I refrained from reacting immediately. I took a deliberate pause, gathered my thoughts, and waited for several hours. I desired to ensure I didn't impulsively rush into anything fueled by anger. But the more I pondered it, the more I recognized I couldn't allow them to escape accountability. If they intended to sully my reputation, I was going to rectify the narrative. So, I retrieved my phone and began composing. I accessed my own Facebook account, the one I reserved for close companions and genuine relatives, and I published a comprehensive update. I wasn't interested in engaging in their charade. I didn't wish to become embroiled in trivial back and forths. My objective was to articulate the truth. Here's what I composed. I acknowledge my recent silence over the past couple of days, but I can no longer remain quiet. My family has been disseminating numerous fabrications about me online that are simply baseless. They've depicted me as the antagonist, the self-centered individual who declines to assist my parents in their hour of need. I am here to clarify the record. I have consistently supported my family. From the moment I secured employment, I have been the one contributing to bills, acquiring groceries, and sustaining them in every conceivable manner. However, there arrives a juncture where one cannot perpetually give without being accorded respect. Over the years, I have witnessed my parents favor Eric, bestowing upon him everything: the residence, the finances, the consideration. Meanwhile, I was merely anticipated to continue providing without ever being regarded as an equal. I'm certain some of you might be perusing this and contemplating, well, that's just how family functions. But here's the unvarnished truth. Familial relationships ought to be reciprocal. When I discovered that my parents bequeathed everything to Eric in their will, I comprehended the profound one-sidedness of this entire dynamic. They didn't even contemplate me, not even for an instant. They have unequivocally demonstrated that I am merely the one they can rely upon when circumstances become arduous, but never the one they genuinely desire to have around unless it serves their convenience. For years, I have been the financier of their lifestyle. I have defrayed the costs of vacations, contributed to household expenses, and even assisted with matters such as property taxes. And for what? To be treated as an alternative plan? I'm finished. I'm not merely a monetary dispenser they can access whenever required. I am a human being, and I merit respect. I have earned the prerogative to be treated as if I matter, not just when they solicit something from me. As for Eric, it's high time for him to mature. He is 28 years old and has never held a job for a single day in his life. He has never assumed accountability for anything. My parents have indulged him for such an extended period that it's hardly astonishing he is their preferred choice. But here's the crucial point. He has had ample opportunity to establish his life, and now it's imperative for him to become self-reliant. To everyone who has been observing this unfolding drama and supporting my parents, you must grasp that there are invariably two perspectives to every narrative. Yes, family is vital, but it also entails mutual deference. I have contributed sufficiently for a lifetime, and I am not apologizing for disengaging. This is not me forsaking my family. This is me finally prioritizing myself. And to my parents, I wish you well, but I am done being your subservient instrument. I hit post, and instantly, I felt a sense of liberation. For the first time in my existence, I was conveying to the world the unvarnished truth about my family, about how they had exploited me for years, how they had always presumed I would be their savior, without ever once considering my own needs. I was not going to allow their distorted narrative to control my life anymore. The responses were immediate. Some individuals whom I hadn't communicated with in years came forward to articulate their solidarity. A few of my cousins, friends of my parents, even some distant relatives, expressed approval of the post, dispatching private messages conveying their sympathy for my ordeal. It felt so emancipating to finally have the truth disclosed, unburdened by guilt trips and manipulative conduct. But then came the vehement opposition. My parents and Eric became utterly frantic. Eric messaged me, "You're a traitor. You genuinely had to publicize all our private matters like this? You possess no respect for family." Dad telephoned me, practically shouting into the receiver, "You've ruined everything, Jake. You'll regret this. You'll regret severing ties with us. You'll regret turning your back on your own kin." But I harbored no regret, not for a single moment. I blocked them all. I was finished. And for the first time in my life, I was free from the toxic dominance they had exerted over me for so long. As the days progressed, I could perceive the burden alleviating from my shoulders. I was done with being treated as subordinate. I was done with being the one invariably expected to resolve everyone else's predicaments. And now I finally possessed the autonomy to live my own life on my terms. So, no, I do not feel remorseful for cutting them off. I merited better. I still do. And henceforth, I am choosing to encircle myself with individuals who value me for who I am, not for what I can offer them. It is time for me to advance definitively. I will. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.